single day I'm gonna make something great. That's my way. Every single day I'm gonna...
Welcome back to Cynthia Untamed. Because it's Women's Month, that is March, we will continue to talk about women and specifically women in Kenya. Today, we will be talking about women who are positively impacting their communities. Remember, Cynthia Untamed is a platform that shares the stories of young Africans who are positively impacting their communities. Remember to subscribe for more inspirational stories. This is a recap of all the women that I've featured before who are working at the grassroots level to ensure that children, youth, women, and men in their communities are empowered and can access opportunities. These are women whose stories are barely recognized. We talk about Michelle Obama, we talk about Hillary Clinton, Wangari Maathai, but we rarely talk about the young people in our communities who are using very little resources. So today I'll have a recap of all the women I featured before. If you haven't read their stories, you can find a link to the blog down below. It's called CynthiaUntamed.com. Have you met Ifra Mohammed? She runs Supermom, which is an organization based in Garissa that works to create employment for women at the grassroots level. Now, we know women at the grassroots level often face challenges such as lack of employment and harmful cultural practices. So what Ifra is doing is she's running an organization where she teaches women how they can acquire business skills so that they can be empowered. Remember that women who are empowered and women who have jobs can then take care of their own families without having to depend on someone else. Next on the list is Beatrice Mwendwa. She works with children in her community. If you have been wondering how you can start small, then Beatrice is the person to look at, because what she does is she mobilizes her community to raise funds, and then she buys products such as sanitary towels, diapers, foodstuffs, and takes them to children's homes. Remember, this is somewhere where you can start. You don't have to start with a big foundation or a big organization. You can always start at the local hospital or at the local children's home. Next on the list is Grace Mageka, who embodies the true spirit of determination. She currently lives in Italy, but she grew up here in Kenya in the village, and she emphasizes on the importance of doing well in class. If you have the opportunity to go to school, make sure you study, and you study really hard. When Grace was here in Kenya, before she went to study abroad, she would work with women, young women in her community, and teach them about life skills and confidence building. Read her story below on CynthiaUntamed.com. We also have Ruth Ambassa, who I met when she was 19, when she was just about to join college. Now, the most inspiring thing about Ruth Ambassa is that she never gives up. Despite the obstacles she has faced, she even works with children in her community by teaching them life skills such as how to save. She grew up in Kibera, and in Kibera, which is an informal settlement here in Nairobi, you find that a lot of children may not know how to save or may not know how to use their talent. So Ruth works at the community level by volunteering to teach children how to save. If they have as little as 10 shillings, she teaches them how to keep it aside and use it for something good, such as buying a book, for example. It may seem so simple, but it's so important. Njeri Kimemia is working towards empowering children in her community to know how to read. If you look at the latest World Bank report on ending learning poverty, you realize that they say that education is not just about access to schools, but it's also about learning. So Njeri, through Vitabu Vyetu and the other team members, volunteered to mobilize resources to buy textbooks and put them up in schools, and they also have reading sessions with the children, which then improves their literacy levels. Immaculate Adjambo, closely linked to what Njeri does, believes in reading advocacy, and one of the most interesting things about Immaculate is that she's also a writer. Writing is a way of expressing yourself. So if you want to learn how you can do that, read about Immaculate and find out how you can actually use writing as a way to speak up for people. And we have Nyariara Njoroge, who works with children and young people in Limuru. Now, children and young people in Limuru go through different challenges which are similar to children and young people who grew up in other parts of the country, which includes lack of access to sanitary healthcare, lack of education, lack of food. Before a child goes to school, they need to eat. So what Nyariara and her team members do is they work with young people during the holidays and teach them about life skills. A lot of young people always ask me, how can I learn how to speak in public? How can I learn how to write? How can I use social media for digital advocacy? How can I start my own organization? So Nyariara teaches young people how to do this. Mary-Liz Biubwa is very passionate about issues related to gender-based violence. If you read her story, you will see the obstacles that she has overcome, having undergone gender-based violence as early as at the age of 10. And you see, she talks about her story of how she was depressed when she was a child, how difficult it was for her to access counseling. There's so many young women and young people out there who face similar challenges and they don't know where to go, they don't know who to talk to. So Mary-Liz wants to bridge that gap. So she talks to young people about how they can access counseling in case they undergo gender-based violence, what they need to do in case they go through, unfortunately, they are raped or they are defiled. Patra Wanjiru, I featured her when she was 17, and at that time she was running a business club in her school at Alliance Girls High School. And what she was doing is she would collaborate with other clubs in the school. Whenever they had events, she would be the one to print their t-shirts and brand them. And after that, she would get money, some pocket money, and even young people in the club would get some money from the business idea. Now, after I featured her, she shared this story with other people, and the teachers recognized her leadership ability, and she was selected to be a prefect teacher in her school. And Patra is now a student at the African Leadership Academy. So that's one of the aspects of Cynthia Untamed. Remember, Cynthia Untamed is about creating opportunities for young people who are working in their communities in Africa to empower others. Benazir Mohammed from Garissa runs Silver Lining, and Silver Lining is focused on empowering young women who undergo harmful cultural practices, and specifically female genital mutilation. You may realize that female genital mutilation is still a big issue here in Kenya and in Africa as a whole and parts of Asia. And Benazir, having undergone this aspect of culture herself, knows that it is not right. Many women and many girls still die from this harmful cultural practice. So Benazir goes to talk to the girls and tells them the importance of going back to school, and she also advocates for an end to this practice. Benazir has also been one of the winners of the World Bank Blog for Development competition, which is an annual competition that encourages young people to write about development issues in their countries. Damaris Nyaondo is passionate about filming. She uses the aspect of film to speak up for children in her community. And she's very young. She must be about 18 years old. And she's even gone as far as representing children and youth in conferences here in Kenya, such as the Water and Sanitation Conference in 2019. And she documented how people in informal settlements actually access water and sanitation. Sometimes we may look at water and sanitation as something that comes automatically, but not every person has access to this facility. Not everyone has access to these kinds of services. Water and sanitation ensures that people in communities live a dignified life. Natalie Roby, very similar to Benazir Mohammed, also works with girls in the community and is advocating to end female genital mutilation. She is based in she's based in Korea. Her organization is called Msichana Empowerment Korea, sorry. And she has gone ahead to win global awards, and she's very passionate about working with other girls to end this practice. Finally, Rachel Mwikali is also passionate about activism and specifically gender activism. She works specifically in the field of menstrual hygiene management. So many girls in Kenya continue to miss school nearly up to 3 to 5 days a month because of lack of access to sanitary towels, or sometimes when they go to schools the toilets are not very hygienic, or sometimes they go to school and maybe on their first period someone will laugh at them because they messed up their uniform, and they feel embarrassed, and nobody talks to them about this specific biological aspect that is so important, which is menstrual hygiene management. And Rachel has made it her mission to work with women in the communities and teach them the importance of taking care of themselves during their periods, ensuring that our policies are working for girls and for women. Those are some of the women who I have featured on CynthiaUNTAMED.com, where I share stories of young Africans who are positively impacting their communities. If you know a woman whose story has never been heard and is working really hard, either in the areas of agriculture, or business, or education, or healthcare, or art, any field that you can think of, and her story has never been heard, comment below and link them up to me so that I can feature them. Let's keep sharing the stories of young Africans. Let's build a voice for young Africans. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe, and see you in the next video.
Every single day, I'm gonna make something